we have a topic. By the way, thank you to Jake's friend Derek. Thank you for being a great follower of the channel. I know you've said you've liked our videos, and I know you have a channel of your own. So if I do remember, I will link it below in the biography. But you suggested a topic because the schedule release happened a couple weeks ago, and we didn't get to do a video on it about like what are some of the best matchups. And we didn't personally create one, but we're just gonna go out. So based on a CBS list. This is Cody Benjamin. This is the top 10, his top 10 games of 2024, and we're going to give our thoughts on this. So at number 10, week 14, this is a bit of I guess, a rematch or like a redemption game. You have Atlanta going to Minnesota. Now, obviously, that's the Kirk Cousins game. What do you think about that one, Jake?
Yeah, like you said, I would say that's the Cook Cousins game. Cook Cousins, I believe, is his first game back in Minnesota after getting signed by Atlanta in the offseason. Hopefully Cook Cousins will be starting by that time. I hope he does. He will still be starting. Um, we'll see what happens with that though. But yeah, Minnesota, new quarterback JJ McCarthy, obviously Justin Jefferson, Gordon Addison. Minnesota still got a very good team, so I'd like to see how they match up against Atlanta with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Minnesota obviously would, like you said, with Justin Jefferson, and they're building the defense a little more in the draft, especially. Minnesota is still going to be respectable. You're wondering if Kirk Cousins going to be starting. I think he will, barring injury. I think they know he's the guy in least for this year. What I'm curious about is will JJ McCarthy be starting by week 14? Because it seems like the Vikings are pretty confident in Darnold. But I would like to see that be a Cousins versus McCarthy because McCarthy's the future. Cousins was there for 6 years, so he was sort of the past, that would be a cool matchup. I think Cousins will be ready to go there. He'd be fired up for that one. Not because he hates the Vikings. It's just that's a big deal for him. But number
Yeah.
9 on week 12, this is a Monday Night Football game. They have the Ravens at Chargers, and I don't know why any. Oh, is it no because that's other Harbaugh. That no, oh that's Harbaugh versus Harbaugh. That's why. And that took me a second because that's John Harbaugh is of course still with the Ravens. He's been with the Ravens for the longest time. And then Jim Harbaugh, who's now with the Chargers, should be an exciting offensive matchup, I would think.
Should be an exciting matchup. I think that obviously the Chargers got better with this. And it's hard to say the Chargers got better when they had no wide receiver Cole for Herbert after getting rid of, Keenan Allen and um
I
who's
think
the other receiver
Mike
I'm thinking
Williams
of?
is not there anymore
Mike
either.
Williams.
Jets, yeah.
Mike Williams. But like I said in the draft, they did get like McConkey early on after all, early on as a weapon for Justin Herbert. So that duo will be fun to watch this year.
No, that's a fantastic fit for Lad McConkey because I think Herbert's one of those quarterbacks where he puts up so much yards and touchdowns. He could make, even if McConkey's not great right away, he could make a good receiver look great. So that's a great landing spot for him. But because obviously there was the Harbaugh versus Harbaugh Super Bowl a while. I'm curious to see if that rivalry is still sort of intact. John Harbaugh won that one. But so week 16, we got one for your team, Jake, at number 8. He puts 49ers at Dolphins. Um, Oh, Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel. Yep. So Mike McDaniel, and that's just a tremendous matchup. I
Yeah, oh
think
yeah.
At home, I always say the Dolphins choke in big games. I think at home they could get them. They could get them in South Florida. Maybe. What do you think, Jake?
I don't know, like you said, it's always a good matchup. The 49ers with their outstanding defense, the Dolphins with their outstanding offense, and also, as you said, Mike McDaniel. I mean, he lost in San Francisco last year, but a rematch in Week 16 be fun to see.
Yeah, and especially that game will have like maybe like number 1 seed implications of
Because
both.
believe it or not, the Dolphins got better.
Yeah, and the Dolphins were a really good team last year. My problem is the Dolphins,
Yeah.
they're turning into the AFC version of the Cowboys where they're really good and then the big game comes and it's they're missing in action. Tua's missing in action. But the Dolphins are I give them all the credit. I think that might have number 1 seed implications for both sides. But all right, so number 7 in week 8, you got the Eagles and Bengals. Why is this one? I think Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow were in the same draft class. I think it's just supposed to be a really good game. I think. Why Eagles
Yeah.
and yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Because maybe Joe Burrow and I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but other anyway, other than that, it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a good matchup. You know, Joe Burrow with Jamal Chase, and then you got Jalen Hurts with AJ Brown on the other side. Be a good matchup. It'll be an offensive game probably.
Yeah, and obviously the Bengals eliminated my Titans a couple seasons ago, so I'm still a little salty about that. But the Bengals are a fun team, and I like Joe Burrow, and I don't want to see him with these injuries pile up. I want to see him still be a good quarterback. So hopefully
Feel
the
like you might be
Bengals.
a little salty about the Titans trading away AJ Brown.
Oh, well, I'm still so no, we're salty about that till the day that AJ Brown retires. But that goes without mentioning. But however, with the Bengals, we now have their former offensive coordinator as our coach, Callahan, and now we have Tyler Boyd. So we're becoming a little bit of the Bengals South. So that's a little bit of revenge there. All right,
Tennessee Bengals.
the Tennessee Bengals, yes, the Southwest Bengals. No. All right, so at number 6, week 9, this is a Monday Night Football game, one of the Jets' 6 primetime games, by the way. You have the Texans and Jets. I think just this is just because everyone is loving CJ Stroud. We did a video on this. CJ Stroud is great, but temper your expectations. He's not Mahomes. He's missed a lot of throws, and I stand by that. However, he's going to put up crazy offensive stats, and this is, you got Rodgers on the other side. Hopefully, we got Rodgers on the other side by week 9. That's a big expectation for for Rodgers to be playing by then. But what do you think
Yeah,
about that?
after he got hurt
Texans,
four
yeah.
snaps into the year last year.
Right, that's right. So his expectation should be 8 snaps this year, not week 9. No, I'm just I'm just messing, um, but what? Yeah, that should be a good one.
That should be a great one. That's a all right. Number 5 on the list.
Number 5 on the list. So another late season game, week 16. Um, wait. Okay, there must be an error in what the okay, so I already see an error in this guy's article because he had the 49ers at Dolphins in week 16, and now he's saying week 16 Lions at 49ers. So the 49ers obviously don't play twice in 2 weeks. If we get that figured out, one is probably week 17 and one's week 16, but we'll just say week 16 because that's what he has. Lions at 49ers. Now obviously this is a rematch of the NFC Championship. Goff versus Purdy and all that. The Lions choked so bad. Lions will be fired up to play this game. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, yeah. I think what he meant was I think that game's on week 17. I think it's like you say, it's an NFC rematch. It's between Puggy and Goff, and I think Puggy comes out on top again.
Yeah, I think the Lions will be fired up. My problem is I think the Lions are going to underperform just a little bit. They're a really good team, but I think they're most importantly they're really good coached. Dan Campbell's a great coach. Their offensive coordinators got it all humming. They've got great GM. They signed great players. The problem is I think Goff might have hit his ceiling. And Goff is a great quarterback. Is he a Super Bowl winning quarterback? I don't believe so. He's got to prove me that wrong. I think the Lions might take a couple steps back, and I don't see the 49ers. But that should still be a good game. All right, number 4 is week 7. Chiefs at 49ers. I'm surprised it's only number 4. That goes without explanation. The 49ers are going to be pissed. That's going to be an interesting one. I'm surprised it's not prime time, but
The 49ers lost that Super Bowl game because they did not know overtime rules.
mhm.
I think the 49ers will come out and be pissed. I think that, Brock Purdy's obviously a great quarterback. He's no Patrick Mahomes. I think the Chiefs come out on top again.
Which I never voiced this much at the time with Kyle Shanahan. Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, that's inexcusable. And Kyle Shanahan, first and foremost, he's a great coach. He's got one of the best offensive systems in the league. Nobody's doubting that. However, number one, you're talking about a guy who has a choker represent, like he's known as a choker, and so to speak, he lost a Super Bowl in overtime already. You'd think he'd be bothered to know the overtime Super Bowl rules and communicate them to the players, but so I guess not so much. But anyway, so number 3 is week 11. It is another primetime game. Texans at Cowboys. A little bit of Texas rivalry. This might be a little high for number 3, but I'm sure it'll get ratings. CJ Stroud's good. Dak Prescott, I have my problems with him, but he puts up numbers. That should be an offensive battle. I think that's what they're anticipating.
Yeah, it'll definitely be an offensive battle. I think, yeah, it will be an offensive showout. I think, obviously, as I was talking about earlier in the show, CJ Stroud, he has Nico Collins. So I think those two connected for a bunch in the playoffs last year. I think they'll still do the same this year. Um,
Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs. Now, who's the other guy
yeah,
they have? Tank Dell. They have
yep,
Dalton Schultz is a really good tight end. I like their attack. Yeah.
yeah. The whole offense. Houston's offense as a whole, it's just there are gonna be problems this year for some defenses.
All right, number two, week 11, we have the Chiefs and Bills. I think this is adequately rated. I think Buffalo has got to hate Kansas City at this point now. And even though they played legendary games, the Chiefs just keep getting the better of them. This one's in Buffalo. Bills won in the regular season last year in Kansas City, but not when it mattered. So Bills could win this one, but they're probably thinking like, whoop-de, yay, who cares? We beat them in the regular season. Let's do it in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the Bills. Like I said with the Chargers earlier in the show, the Bills had no wide receiver core because they got rid of Stephon Diggs. You
They have
know,
the guy
uh,
from FSU now, though, right? Keon Coleman.
but they did draft Keon Coleman, so he'll be there as someone for Josh Allen to throw to. I still think the Chiefs are the better team, though. So
I do too. If they can keep all their players out of jail, that's been another thing we've been hearing about recently. But anyways,
Xavier Worthy,
Xavier Worthy, yes. Will he be another John Ross or can he actually catch? If he can catch, watch out because 4-2-1, that is right.
oh,
Uh, but
might
all
be
right, so
another
number
Devin
one,
Hester.
What about Devin Hester?
We might see Devin Hester 2.0 with Xavier Worthy, or maybe
Okay,
Tyreek.
okay. So like Devin Hester, maybe a little bit of Cordero Patterson, who's been really good, a little bit, yeah, and then maybe okay, I can see
A little
that.
bit of Tyreek Hill.
Maybe Justin Fields is going to return kicks. No, I heard that. That's a rumor I heard. But
Yeah, yeah.
all right, week one, the Jets and 49ers. This guy's number one, and his list I thought was pretty solid. That is a terrible way to end it. The 49ers will beat the Jets by multiple scores on opening weekend.
Yes.
And I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan, right? I'm from Wisconsin. I grew up a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. Don't get me wrong. He needs time to settle in though. And the 49ers are you could are obviously yes, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year. You could argue on paper the 49ers are the best team in the NFL. They're not winning week one. That is not the number one game. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, the Jets do not deserve to be number one slot. If anything, I would think the number one game would be Thursday night, the opening weekend. I think it's the Chiefs Ravens.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good one. Ravens are going to be upset. Lamar played an awful game in that AFC Championship. I'm surprised that didn't even crack the top 10. So pretty solid list. I just really disagree with number one. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, me too. Me too.